What's good, everybody? Back once again, here to do another edition of Off-Season Plans. This time it's the Detroit Pistons. And to be honest, I think they have nowhere to go but up. They had, oh boy, Cade Cunningham, get hurt towards the end of the season. And I really think that sort of did mess them up a little bit. But I was like, because you would think that when he was gone, they would figure out how to do something with the scoring and stuff, and it really never worked. I thought that Kevin Herter would be a little bit more of some juice to that team. It really didn't matter of any sort. Um, and so now we're sort of over here trying to figure out who could be a number two in a way that, to me, I was like, will balance out. I think the burden of what Jalen Duran would have to, what I would have to deal with. He did not play good into the postseason at all, which sort of has them in a predicament where he's, everybody's like, oh man, he lost money, and now they're over here saying like he's gonna get this amount of money that people think is going to be devastating, but it's really just a going rate nowadays. But I think that you sort of know, like, okay, he's a really good center, possibly able to improve. Dude's young. But at the same time, I still think that they need another shot creator. Sure is not right now a guy that's got his own shot. To be honest, the only person they really have is Tobias Harris, but we all know Tobias Harris from when he was like, I want to say like 25. We pretty much know what he is. I was like, he has a cap. I was like, it's funny. His floor is his ceiling. It's pretty much the same thing. He's going to give you just so much amount, and then after that, not too much. With that. So with that being said, I was like, they need some another. They need like another playmaker. They need some more shooting. They need somebody who can get his own shot as well too. And the thing is that I think that they have enough to sort of maneuver and do things however they want to. I was like, will they spend big, like big game hunting? I think that remains to be seen. Like getting a Kyrie Irving, I think that would be cool because I think that while yes, or like we know Kyrie coming back from the injury and seeing how that goes, but being alongside another 6'5", 6'6", type of point guard that takes the lead and controls the ball and all this other stuff, we already seen that he could do that. He could play with that type of person. So we already know that he can play just as good with Cade because he's already done it with Luka. Now, if that's something a chance of one they want to roll with. I was like, I don't know. Do you also want to get people that's on his timeline as well? I think that's also something to consider because I think that takes a lot of people out if you are over here trying to get people on his timeline. Like for instance, like a Jeremy Grant guy. I was like type of guy. He's already way past. I was like a couple years past the 30s in a way that I was like, I don't think he will move the needle any much more than Tobias Harris. And quite frankly, I actually think that if Tobias Harris doesn't have to get one of his contracts, and if you know Tobias, that he always get paid in some form or another money that makes you go like, really? He's going to get that much, but he always does. And so if he's not going to get like demand something crazy, I think they should go ahead and bring him back. Just have him in the fold and add on to it. I mean, of course, they got like young guys that you hope sort of like get better. And it's like Ron get better. I said Duran get better, Thompson get better. Like you hope from them that they sort of get better in that. But I also think I was like, do they need somebody else who can get? I was like, as far as getting his own shot, and somebody that would they try to get him? I don't know how I was like they necessarily could. I was like, it might have to be, like with the way that the apron and all this other stuff and the draft now is that you're probably going to have to do a lot more sign and trades unless you're going to be able to sign free agents at a low price, which I think the apron has made that a thing now. So getting someone like Austin Reeves, who I think would be really good on this team, especially because what he doesn't have in defense, you have so many other players that can do that. So it's like you already, you got so many dudes that's already playing tough defense that guess what? He can fit right in. You don't have to worry about him in the same type of way. I was like, while he would necessarily be your two guard, he will be matched up really on your point or whatever like that. Cade would have the brunt of everything, and you could easily you could give somebody like Beef Stew to the Lakers, and I was like, depending on how LeBron and that goes, because they had beef literally, or at least Stu just did, but. I mean, that's also some toughness. That's I think the Lakers would like if they did do something of that magnitude. You might have to give another player in that, like Holland. Um, but I was like, to me, I was like, I think he will work out really good with them as well. I think that they should not go after him, but if they happen to be in necessarily of a trade of with the where the Miami Heat is involved, if they can get Tyler Hero without being the ones to necessarily trade straight up for Hero, like they're talking about the Giannis stuff and whatnot, then I think Tyler Hero would be good for that team. He get his own shot. I was like, he had done a little bit of point guard. He's pretty much a two. Like he sort of had the same stuff as Reeves, where it's like playing I was like, well, you got defensive players behind him, so that works with that squad. But he also coming from the Miami Heat organization. Him going to the Pistons won't be too much of any trade, and it sort of gives you somebody who can get his own shot and the shooting as well, and also being young enough to be on that team. And also, I was like, I think that he only got like a couple years left on his contract, so it's not something that's also going to dampen anything else that you really want to do for too long. If you want to also like move on or do some other things as well too, so I think that he would be a good look. But like I said, if they could be like a third team or something like that, like say, like if Milwaukee don't want to take on this out, they're cool. I was like, but as far as like traded straight up from him, I don't know how that's necessarily going to work. I don't really see any player that the Heat will want from them, and also the amount of players you would sort of have to give up in order to get Tyler Hero. I don't think that really works either with Detroit Pistons in that type of way either. Now, somebody else that I do think that I was like they could trade for would be Trey Murphy from the New Orleans Pelicans, because I was like, to me, he essentially would just fill in the role that Tobias Harris has, and he has increased like every year about how many points and how he's been playing, and I think he's almost really to the point where he not only can do the 3-point shooting that you need, but also get his own shot now as well. And I was like, once again, this doesn't solve any issue, but I just think that it helps along with someone that's on K's timeline as well with the young crew. I was like, yeah, you would have to have the salaries match up, but he's signed to a contract, so he's good for a while. But I was like, to me, I was like, if you want somebody that's a younger, more aggressive, whatever you get of like Tobias, I think that's would be the route to go to where I'm like that trade I can see being a lot better for Detroit to do. Now, as far as other people who are free agents and things like that, and I was like, well, I'll give you one more trade that I was like, I think could just work just because, but it's like the money would just be a little bit too much. Is Zach LaVine or DeMar Road? I know I was talking about people that's on their timeline. And the only way that I was like, and I know don't try like I know Zach LaVine, everybody like really that guy. But I was like, he's been injured a couple years. But I was like, he's pretty much like on like I think like one more year left. I was like Demar really in the same boat as well too. Um, but I was like, to me, Demar, it really just depends. Like if he came off the bench, I will that's what I would love. If not, then I was like, don't. I wouldn't even tackle him. I was like Zach Levine. I was like that one more of a risky move. If he's a free, I would like to be honest. If he's a free agent, I think that's a little different than having to trade and find some stuff. Because I was like the Kings, the Kings are going to want something that's like ridiculous. That is like we're not about to do that at all. Um, but I was like another dude who was straight up out of free agency that I would like to try to get is Rui Hachimura. Once again, I was like, you want a dude I was like he could get it. I was like he could get his own shot a little bit better. Then I was like then most I was like would think he was scoring at a crazy clip shooting from three. He's also like 6'9", 6'10". At the I was like replaces Tobias Harris. I think you would get another guy who is basically a younger, more athletic. I was like shooter and also a guy that I think it took a minute, but you finally seen this year that he's not that he finally broke past of being scared to shoot, and also just take like get your own shot. Like yes, he's not going to be out there like creating or nothing like that. He ain't about to like get a in a bag or anything like that. But he will take the threes. I was like he will take a mid range. I was like he will step into the shot in a way that I was like I feel like in years past that he just wouldn't do. He'd be reluctant with I feel like the talent that he has in order to like go ahead and just take over. Because I was like, he'll have it for stretches and then he would just sort of disappear. And I think that now he sort of has unlocked the fact of just like, hey, you're going to have to do this. I was like, step up to the plate kind of thing. And I think that he's a guy that fits along with the time. I would like timeline. You don't have to trade in the same way as you could with like Trey Murphy. Now, I would like he get more money probably elsewhere. The Lakers also got the chance to also go over in order to sign him as well too. So that might make it difficult. But I think that's somebody else to look out for. Others, I would like other dudes who was like I think the market is going to say that these people are going to get a lot of money. But I think what we've seen with the second apron and things like that, and I did a video of this like a while back when he first made the rule about the apron like last year, is that I really feel like they're trying to suppress the money. Like the people who is getting the max or the proven players, they're going to get the money. Everybody else is just going to get whatever you can get. So someone I think that could work. I was like Ayo Dasumu that played with Minnesota. He's not a 3-point guy in that type of way, but he is a guy that I was like will take it more upon himself to get his own shot, go to the basket and things like that. Because you just need another secondary option. He also is another ball handler as well, to where you can play him with Cade, play him not with Cade. I was like he'll be in your defense as well too, so you don't lose nothing in that manner as well. It just all depends on how much he's going to be out here on the market really to get. Um, and another dude that I was like, I think that you could probably try to get more cheaply would be Anthony. I was like Anthony Simon. I was like still a young dude. I was like more of a scoring type of guy. I was like willing to shoot the three and stuff like that. I think I don't think he's going to cost in the same realm as Dasumu. So I think you might be able to get him and still get somebody else as well too. I feel like the market for him basically it just kind of like a like 6 man kind of guy as well, which I was like, hey, you at least know he's going to try and get his own shot. He's going to shoot. So I was like, with that, I was like, and with the Detroit team that's already got defensive guys, and I was like, and I think it's important for Detroit not to really lose any of their people, but try to add to it. That's why I was like, some of the trades would be a little bit more difficult. That you could just add him and he could be there with the second unit. You could play him with Cade, of course, and things like that. To me, I was like, I feel like it's basically a lower version of Kobe White. Which I was like, they probably won't be able to get because the Hornets are going to try to give him more than what they could probably do. And I was like, and then outside of that, I would think of like another dude that you could sort of add in is Julian Champagnie. I was like, we already seen what he did in the playoffs. We've seen how he could go on stretches. I was like, at worst, he could be your 4 if you need to, but he could play. I was like, but you could play him at the 3. I was like, a guy that could go on the heater, a guy that done played in the system, a guy that has gone through the playoffs now and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't think he'll cost crazy money. I think he'll probably just be back with the Spurs because of that. But I was like another guy that you could sort of get in with the squad. After that, everybody else is just sort of like small little things or whatever that I was like probably wouldn't necessarily play. Like I was like a Seth Curry or a Bones Highland. Those are just like small minor additions that I think can help the team in the long run getting through the season. But I don't know how much they're going to help when it's time to actually like crack down on things. Curry pretty much is at the towards the end of whatever he's going to give you, and Bone Highland is really inconsistent. I was like, could go on a heater, but he's streaky with it, inconsistent. And so I was like, that one, I was like, another addition if you already get some of these other people that are attached as well too. But I was like, and a sneaky one I feel like could work is Quentin Grimes for the 76 from the 76ers. I was like, he won a big uh, cash in from like the last couple of years. I was like, I was like, it probably should have taken the money cuts. I was like, who could have foreseen how we got here? But I was like, two guard. I was like, play defense. I was like, showing the ability to score, get his own shot. I think just really just was in the mix with the 76ers and their whole guard situation that I was like, he was a good guard. I was like, he was a good third guard that probably is wanting more. I was like, hey, he could go there, pop for a minute. I was like, you could sign him probably for some good money, but nothing crushing at the same time, and still sort of have your squad as well too. I was like outside of getting Trey Murphy to me, I think everything else is probably just going to be done through free agency because you want to keep majority of that core there and see what they do with a third year. Um, I was like under bigger staff. But anyway, let me know what y'all think the Detroit Pistons should try to grab or what directions they should take and all that other stuff. And until then, peace. I'm out.